Released the 27th of August 2014, the exact same day as the remaster of its older brother, Metro 2033, Metro Last Light has a lot to live up to. After all, Metro Redux did earn my first must-play. Well, you'll be glad to know that Metro Last Light continues the strong sense of immersion that we can come to expect from the series. But I don't think that the overall narrative is quite as good as the original, and it does feel a bit tacked on. One of the things that seems off about this game is the lack of pull towards any of the characters that we interact with. The pivot to a more focused perspective is fairly showcased in the slightly bland narratives between the levels, which feel far more frequent this time round. I also think that the call to action is weaker here, and the sense of exploration and discovery is a little bit more stunted. This is partially due to how often it feels like a character's fate is out of our hands. However, this is exaggerated in its gameplay. While the overall gameplay is just as solid as the first game, the difficulty here had a big spike in my opinion. Now, I will admit that I played this game in Ranger difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty, but there are two different modes that significantly change how you will approach this game. The first of these modes is Ranger, and the second is Spartan. The only difference between these two is the amount of ammo and filters that you'll collect throughout the game. While I do recommend playing on Ranger difficulty for the best immersion, as it increases the time to kill of both you and your enemies, I can't necessarily recommend Ranger mode unless you've played the game before. This is because it didn't take me long to die from a severe lack of air filters, which is ridiculously frustrating. But I would recommend playing Ranger difficulty with the Spartan mode if you want the most immersive experience that doesn't feel cheap. I also feel that the AI had slight tweaks that are an improvement, and found that they would also target allies, but the overall strategies that they employed weren't much different. The visuals, on the other hand, are a bit different from 2033. In my opinion, it trades blows, as I prefer the overall gritty feel that 2033 Redux offers, but I prefer the overall graphics fidelity in Last Light. I think that the character models and creature models generally look better, and objects within the world are less jagged, but I also think that the surface area, when you go up top, generally feels a little too clean. I know this is an odd descriptor, but this is the best way I can really explain it. But overall, I think that they both have aged pretty well. Voice acting is also solid, but the music seems a little bit more rare here, pushed to the background, but seems to be of the same quality as Metro 2033 Redux. Last Light is also just as accessible as Metro 2033 Redux. It has subtitles throughout and offers the text in 10 languages and 7 languages for the spoken dialogue. There are also a number of difficulty levels and 2 mode types, though neither of these can be changed once you have started your campaign, which is a bit annoying. But I feel that the game does offer enough options to see most players through it. Last Light is also fairly convenient. It's available on PlayStation 3, 4, Xbox 360 and One, as well as Switch, as well as being available on GOG, Steam, and the Epic Games Store. Just keep in mind that some of the consoles only have the original release. I also found a few bugs as I played through the game, such as characters phasing through me, my shadow showing as nothing more than an ammo belt, and the scene where you phase through a door. But none of these are game-breaking, though immersion-breaking, and I do feel that I experience these issues a little bit more frequently than I experienced the little minor hiccups in 2033. I also feel that my overall experience with Last Light is less favorable than 2033. While the gunplay and graphics are solid, the game definitely feels more action-focused than the original. Add this to the weaker story and characters, and it really separates me from the same levels of immersion I encountered in 2033. I do think Last Light is still a good game, but I don't think it performs quite as well, earning it a decent on the A scale. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Check out my last video on Tomb Raider 2013 and consider subscribing. Until then, this has been Robin Slob, and I'll see you in the virtual community.